Hi Angie, and welcome to your home yoga practice video. This one is going to be a sort of combination of things that you've been working on for the past year, both at sessions here in the studio and also at home on your own. I'm going to throw in some other things and just change things up a little bit as well for you. So I hope that you enjoy it. If you want some props, they're always optional, of course, but you could grab a block or two and a yoga strap maybe. It's probably all that you need for this one. When you're ready to go, come to the middle of your mat into a comfortable seated position, and we'll begin. So you can bring yourself into easy pose with one foot stacked in front of the other, or you can sit in cross-legged or hero pose, knees together sitting on the feet instead if you prefer. Relax your elbows towards your hips if you're sitting in cross-legged or easy pose. And in hero, we can just relax your shoulders down. And start really simple, bringing your awareness to your breath. Just notice the quality of your breath at first. And then see if you can lengthen it, both the inhale and the exhale. Breathing in and out through the nose, but if you'd like, practicing ujjayi breathing, which is a slight constriction of the back of the throat, just for the purpose of regulating the airflow a little bit more effectively, still in and out through the nose. When you inhale, you can use that breath to look for more length or extension of the spine, stretching up. And on the exhale, relaxation of the shoulders, hips, knees, and feet, entire low body. Just make sure that as you're relaxing, you're not collapsing. So still keeping the integrity of the pose, the nice alignment, always alignment before depth. Relax your shoulder blades down your spine. You can have your eyes open or closed, whatever you prefer. As your breath slows and becomes a little bit deeper and fuller, focus on grounding down through the base of the spine or where your body meets the mat, and extending up from the same spot, as though you're sending energy in opposite directions up and down the spine. You might like to set an intention for your practice today so that you have a place to go to if you need to, a focus, or just something to keep you connected to your practice today. And it can be whatever you feel you need, as long as it's simple and it's kind. Take a moment to set your intention, repeating it in your head, or possibly just dedicating your practice to someone or something. And start to bring in a little bit of movement, slowly rolling your head around big circles or small, half or full. And alternatively, you could just move your head from side to side, back and forth, up and down, whatever feels good and natural. Whatever feels supportive. It might not feel good today if you have different things going on that you're dealing with. But as long as the movement feels like it's helpful for your yoga practice today, it's not taking anything away from your focus, your meditation, or of course your proper alignment. Continue to move your head in big or smaller circles for a few more deep breaths. Just finding your own rhythm and starting to synchronize breath with movement. Inhaling for extension or expansion, lifting the chest and chin up. And exhaling to contract or relax, in this case, chin to chest and belly in. On the next inhale, root down, stretch up, and exhale, shoulders down and back, long spine. Lengthen the back of the neck, lift the crown of the head. On your next breath, draw your shoulders up to your ears. Exaggerate this movement. And exhale, roll them back and down away from your ears. A few more times with your breath. Moving at your own pace today, whatever feels like what your body needs here. And you might feel it just in the shoulders or maybe more in the upper back and the chest as well, depending on how much movement you're creating here for your body and also just what's going on for you in your life and in your practice today. Relax your shoulders, take one more deep breath. And remember, you can always change the position of your legs if you get uncomfortable or you just like to for a little more balance. I'm gonna come onto the knees, hero pose. Sitting on the heels with the tops of the feet on the floor, you can bring your hands to your lap, relax your arms, relax your shoulders. And just be mindful that you're not rounding or collapsing forward, lengthening the spine up as though you're lifting your weight off your heels a little bit. Draw your shoulder blades down your spine. Now come into optional toe stretch here. This one is pretty intense and you can try it. If it becomes too much at any point, just slowly come out of the stretch and right back into hero with the tops of the feet on the mat instead. When you're ready, take palm press, interlacing your fingers, draw the navel to spine, root down, stretch up, inhale, push the palms out and all the way up, arms back with the ears as much as you can without forcing it. So for more opening, you begin to stretch up higher and draw the arms back further. We'll stay for 3 to 5 deep breaths, so just go slow and take your time when you're exploring your depth or finding more opening. You can use your exhale to go a little deeper, generally speaking, but only if the space is already there in your body for you to explore. On the next breath, stretch up and gaze up, really lengthen, and exhale, hands at heart center. Anjali Mudra, gently press the palms, draw shoulder blades down your spine. Bring your hands forward onto the mat and walk your knees back one at a time to tabletop or all fours. And at this point, you're welcome to keep the toes tucked or optionally untuck the toes and bring tops of the feet onto the mat. Knees hip width, hands shoulder width. Spread the fingers wide and root down actively and as evenly as you can through both hands and knees, those 4 points. At the same time, lengthen up through your arms, your legs, and your spine. Lengthen the back of the neck and reach the crown forward and tailbone back. You can bring your tailbone into a very slight tuck position and navel to spine, so you're really lengthening the back body, looking for extension there. Shoulders away from the ears. Keep pressing down firmly, stretching up, and take one more deep breath, just focusing here on roots and extension. And then relax without collapsing. Turn your palms up one hand at a time. This is the sort of starting point for your wrist stretch. If you find that this becomes easier, you're just not getting enough stretch on a particular day, you can deepen it by turning your fingertips in toward your body instead of toward each other. I'm going to do it here this way with my fingers pointing in and thumbs up. When you're ready, you can bring some movement in as well if you like. Inhaling to shift your body weight more forward, but just be mindful you're not collapsing through the shoulders. And exhale, bring the weight off your hands, hips toward the heels. With your hands in this position, this will give you a little bit of relief or just less work for the wrists. Moving on your own time with your breath, inhaling to come forward and exhaling, shift your weight back. Take a few deep breaths here and remember you can always come out early of a pose or a movement if you need to, just mindfully. When you're ready, bring your palms to the mat again, one hand at a time, and your shoulders over your wrists. Take a couple deep breaths just to release some of the tension that you might feel in your hands or your wrists, pressing down gently and lengthening the arms. Now we're going to come into cat-cow, warming up the spine and the lungs. So if you'd like, again, you're welcome to tuck the toes or tops of the feet down. Start with nice long spine, engage the core, and exhale all the air out to begin. Starting with cow, a backward bend, synchronize with the inhale breath. Inhale, lift the hips up actively, belly down, chest forward, and shoulders back. Gaze up. And exhale, chin to chest, start to shift your gaze up to the belly button as you push firmly through hands and knees. Look at belly button, belly in. And inhale, slowly come forward, hips up, belly down, chest forward, shoulders back, pressing firmly. Exhale, round the spine, chin to chest. Push the mat away from you. Empty your lungs completely. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. One more. Inhale, breath. And exhale slowly, round the spine, cat pose. And slowly shift your weight back, hips to heels, chin, chest forward, belly over the thighs, and relax into child's pose or Balasana. You can do this with your arms forward on the mat as they are, forehead down or to the side. or arms back by your side if you prefer. You can also open your knees further apart if you prefer that position right now. And with this one, we get a little bit deeper hip opening, as well as the belly and chest coming forward through the legs for a little bit more expansion of the front body as well. Come up nice and slow and return to tabletop or all fours. Remember, child's pose is a nice place for a rest if you ever feel you need one during your practice. Tuck the toes. We're going to lift up to downward facing dog, so gazing forward, a little bit beyond your fingertips toward the top of the mat. Push firmly through the hands, the toes, and then begin to lift just your knees. Hover for a second there so you know that you're really strong and you've got it. And take a deep breath, lift the hips up, and exhale, come to downward facing dog, lengthening the arms, lifting hips up high, and pushing really actively through both hands. Spread your shoulder blades apart and draw the shoulders away from the ears. Lengthen your neck and the crown of the head and lift the hips up high in the opposite direction. Pull navel to spine, and remember you can bend your knees here as much as you need to avoid rounding through the spine or coming forward, shoulders closer to the wrists. We're trying to create a straight line from the heels of the hands all the way up to the hips. Eventually, with time, with patience and practice, we'll start to pedal the heels right and left, shifting the weight from one foot to the other and trying to move with your breath. You can continue this movement for a couple more deep breaths. But trying not to rock back and forth too much, really actively pushing and lifting the hips high. And look back at your toes slowly. And make sure that they're in line with the heels, feet are about hip width distance apart. Make sure also that you're not rounding the spine, chin to chest. You want to be keeping your neck nice and long. If you need to bend the knees, you're welcome to keep them bent. And if the heels aren't on the mat, that's fine. Just keep reaching them in that direction, looking for more length through the backs of the legs. On your next inhale, we're going to come forward into plank pose. Inhale, breath, push through the toes and shift your body weight forward. And you can adjust your hands or feet if you feel that you're a little bit too close coming out of your downward facing dog. In high plank pose, continually push through the toes and at the same time stretch the heels back. Try to create a nice strong line from the heels to shoulders, and a little bit of rounding in the upper back is okay so that you're really strong through the shoulder girdles to support your weight here. Take one more deep breath in plank pose. Hold it nice and strong, navel to spine. On the exhale, bring your knees to the mat slowly and untuck your toes so the tops of the feet are down. Then start to bring your hips forward as much as you can, and if you start to feel compression in the spine, bend your arms. When the hips come down, do start to bend your arms anyway, elbows back toward the hips and shoulder blades down the spine. Lengthen your chest forward as though you're exiting out of a cobra pose. And once the chin reaches the mat, just relax here for a few deep breaths. And keep your hands where they are if possible, arms in close with the chest. Relax your legs, relax your entire body, and take one more deep breath here. Getting ready for Cobra Pose. Bring your legs together for this one if they're not, and tops of the feet really rooted down firmly into the floor. Squeeze the thighs and point the toes. Draw navel to spine and gently push through the hands. On an inhale, use the spinal strength to lift your chest up. You can start to gaze upward. Draw the shoulder blades down and back and elbows toward your hips. Squeeze the hips, the bum, and the thighs, really rooting down actively through your legs. Chest forward. Belly in, one more breath, chin and chest up, and exhale, lower down slowly. Coming back to down dog, tuck your toes, inhale, lift the chest and lengthen the arms, come up, and exhale, shift back, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath. Bring your left foot a little bit into center line, and inhale, stretch your right toes all the way up and back. Take one more deep breath, trying to square the hips and the shoulders, and welcome to bend the standing leg knee if you like. On the exhale, bring your knee forward toward your nose, rounding your spine as you go, really pushing weight forward into the hands. Then release the foot at the top of the mat as high as you can. Come onto your fingertips, and if you need to, you can wiggle or walk it up so that your heel or your ankle is under your knee. Then push to the back toes, take a deep breath, and exhale, bend your front knee deeply. Chest up and come into your Crescent Lunge prep. Square the hips, strengthen the back leg, push through the toes, and gently draw your right hip back. Navel to spine, chest forward. One more deep breath here. And then on the exhale, bring your back knee down to the mat. An option here to untuck the toes, or welcome to keep them tucked if you prefer. Inhale, lengthen your arms forward and all the way up. If you need to bring your hands to your hips or your front leg, just for stability, for the balance, you are welcome to. Gazing forward at the kind of starting point, and then as you progress, gazing up toward the ceiling, which will challenge your balance a little bit more. Eventually, hands in prayer, really stretching up through the inhale. And exhale, fold forward, coming from the core, or moving from the core, I should say. Bring your hands down to frame your foot, draw the belly in, tuck the back toes, and step back to plank. Moving through a vinyasa again. On the exhale, lower down, bend the arms nice and slow, shoulders back, and inhale up to cobra or up dog, arms straight and hips hovering. Exhale, downward facing dog, hips high. Take another deep breath. Make sure you're really working on your core engagement here, pulling navel to spine. And not just pushing through your hands, but also your feet to get the hips higher. Now you can bring your right foot into center line optionally, or keep it where it is for three-legged dog, the left leg up. Rooting down firmly. When you're ready, inhale, left leg up and back. Trace a long line with the toes. Draw the belly in, square the hips, the shoulders. Inhale, stretch up, and exhale, knee to nose. Move as slowly as you can to really challenge your core strength. And shift the weight as forward as possible before you step your left foot forward between your hands. Walk it up if you need to. Slowly come into Crescent Lunge again. Draw your left hip back as you actively push through the foot. Remember, you can use blocks here under your hands if you need to bring the floor a little closer to you. Take a deep breath, and on the exhale, bring the back knee down. Then untuck the toes if you did on the first side. Take a deep breath, root down firmly, stretch forward. As you come up, be mindful of the hips, that you're not turning out to the side. Lengthen up as much as you can, gazing forward or up beyond your fingertips. And exhale, fold. Try to keep your hips square again as you come down. Frame the foot, step back into plank. And again, move through your vinyasa with your breath, exhaling to lower, and inhale to rise up. Up dog or cobra, shoulders back. Exhale, downward facing dog again. If you need a break, go right ahead. Otherwise, we're going to do a sort of challenge from down dog, coming into Dolphin Pose. Bring your forearms down one at a time, elbows in line with the hands and the shoulders. Really push through the hands and the arms. If you need to bend your knees here, you can start with that and slowly lift the hips, lengthen until eventually legs are straight. If you get to this point and you find you'd like to challenge yourself more, walk your feet more forward. Just be mindful that the shoulders don't collapse. Draw them up away from the ears, chin away from your chest a little bit. One more breath if you can stay, try to hold it, and slowly lower. All right, shift back into Child's Pose again, relax, take a deep breath. Come back up into downward facing dog. Now for the rest of the step throughs, whenever we're doing an asymmetrical leg position, you are welcome to transition with a three-legged dog, stretching one leg up, or if you'd like to kind of work on the core strength, less momentum a little bit more, which I know is one of your kind of primary goals, you can just bring the one foot up off the floor, knee to nose, and shift the weight forward, then step forward from there. So again, coming to downward facing dog, take a deep breath, hold it there. On an inhale, step your right foot forward, however you choose, between the hands, and this time bringing your back heel down to the floor. And inhale, come up to warrior two. On your exhale, sit your hips back down if they've lifted up as you rose up into the pose. Try to bring your shoulders over your hips. Really extend your arms away from one another and draw your shoulder blades down your spine. Push actively through your feet. Slowly look down at the leg and make sure that your knee is over your heel, toes in line. And get nice and deep into the hip. Then take a deep breath. Hold it here. And on the next inhale, straighten your leg. Push down, inhale. Exhale, squeeze the thigh, leg straight, and root down. Then inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, stretch forward. Reach for the mirror, or I guess just in front of you, depending on where you are. Back hip lifts up as much as possible. Bring your front hand down to your shin, the floor, or a block in front of your foot. Draw the belly in and stretch your left fingertips up. Lengthen the left side body. Really root your feet and kind of draw your inner thighs toward each other. Take one more deep breath, and then try to come up in a straight line. So left arm back and right arm forward, firmly rooting, keep the legs strong. Turn the right toes in, and just look down, making sure your heels are in alignment, feet parallel or a little bit turned in. Inhale, lift the chest, and exhale, fold forward, leaning with the chin and chest. Navel in toward the spine, hips up and back. Find your depth without rounding your spine. And when you're ready, bring your hands to the floor or a block just in front of the mat here on the side. Re-engage the legs, the thighs. Make sure that the quads are really strong. And actively push through the outsides of the feet, also the big toes and the heels. Lengthen the spine forward on an inhale breath. And exhale, fold if you can find some more depth here in the pose without rounding your spine. The goal is to eventually bring the crown of the head down between your feet with a straight spine, flat back. But you might stay for a while in this half fold position if this is where you can hold the pose with good form and still get a really nice deep stretch here. Take one more deep breath. On your next inhale, you can begin to come up, legs strong, lengthening forward and come out the opposite way that you went in. Now bring your right toes to point forward again. Take a deep breath, lengthen up, and exhale, bend the knee. Pivot the back arm forward and frame your foot. Step back to plank. Move through the vinyasa, inhale, forward to high plank, and exhale, chaturanga or lowering. Nice and slow. Inhale, cobra or up dog, and exhale, downward facing. And take a deep breath here. And we'll do the other side. When you're ready, left foot step forward. Remember, you can use three-legged dog if you like, or just knee to nose and shift the weight. Back heel down, root down, and really sit nice and low, the left hip back a little bit. Then inhale to come up, warrior two. Right arm back, left arm forward, and exhale. Again, sit nice and deep into the hips. The back foot is pointing right out to the side, really rooted firmly there. And then again, we want to make sure that the knee and the foot are in line with the hip and the front leg. Extend your arms away from one another. Shoulders down the spine. Core nice and strong. One more breath. Then rooting down, inhale, stretch up and straighten the front leg. Coming into Utthita Trikonasana or extended triangle pose. So push with the feet, squeeze the quads, and inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, reach forward all the way beyond your toes, and slowly bring your hand down to your shin, the floor, or a block. There's also a big toe grip here that you're welcome to take if you like, and you can bring your right arm up nice and slow. If you ever feel like you need to bend this front leg because you've got way too much tension in the hips or hamstrings or something, you may just be sure that you're not kind of rounding forward here. So straightening this leg as much as you can and hip back, lengthening the spine and stretching up. On the inhale, come back up nice and slow. And take a deep breath, lengthen up. And exhale, bend the knee. Frame your foot, bring your right hand forward, come down and step back to plank. And this time lift your hips to downward facing dog. One more time, step your right foot through and back heel down to the floor. Then come into warrior two. And from here, we're going to move into Skandasana, your low lunge. So this is a transition that will be new to you. On your inhale, straighten your leg coming up. And on your exhale, shift your weight towards your left heel. So I sometimes find I need to wiggle the feet in a little bit more. Remember to keep the left foot flat on the floor, and you're welcome to bring your hands down for support as well. If you're going hands free, make sure you're not rounding forward. Lift the chest up. You can bring the hands into the heart if you like, eventually bringing them here, of course. And also keeping your bum up as high as you need to in order to keep the foot down. On your next inhale, lift up and shift the weight. On the exhale, right toes point in a little bit straight forward. Left toes turn up to the ceiling and start to shift your weight toward the right heel. Again, take another deep breath here or two, finding your balance. And remember, you're welcome to keep your hands on the floor through the entire exercise if you like. Inhale, again, lift up. And exhale, sit to the side. Another option here is to come into your skater pose. So chest forward, kind of half fold position and arms out to the side. Inhale up and exhale over. Couple more. Inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, shift the weight. Skandasana, the low side lunge or skater's pose. Last one. Inhale up and exhale the weight over toward the right heel. Now inhale, come up and face the front of your mat, slowly pivoting. Square the hips. Take a deep breath and lengthen the chest, the spine forward. And exhale, bring your back knee down. Untuck the toes. Slowly wiggle your right foot towards your left hand and come into Pigeon Pose. If you feel like you're turning out to the side because of a lot of intensity in the hips or the low body, you're welcome to bring a block. And I'll just show you. I think I've mentioned this before. But you are welcome to use a block in Pigeon to support the bent leg hip. Make sure the hips are square. I like to come up onto my fingertips to get a little bit more length in the arms and lengthen the spine. And you have the option now to come forward over your bent leg, over the knee, and arms to the block or right down to the mat if that feels most comfortable for you. You can also place your forehead on a block as well for a little more support there. Just be mindful that the hips are still square, so you've got the back leg engaged, pointing your toes, and gently drawing the right hip back. Couple more deep breaths here. And then slowly come up, hands toward the hips. Push down the palms under your shoulders and draw your right knee back. An option here if you'd like to come into child's pose for a few deep breaths before switching to the other side. Just release the spine. Might feel deep in the hips. If it does, you can stay forward or just transition right away to the left side. Look for length in your spine. And again, you can come forward over the left knee onto the block first with the forearms, and eventually arms down to the mat. Trying to keep the hips square here, so avoiding the tendency to turn out to the side and roll onto the left hip. Squeeze the right thigh muscle, point the toes back, and gently draw your left hip back. And take one more deep breath, and then slowly come back up. This time you can bring your right leg forward and come into easy pose first, or cross-legged if you prefer, that's fine too. Hands to the knees, relax the shoulders, eyes open or closed. Take a deep breath. Bring your knees together, feet forward. Come about halfway up the mat, knees bent. Lift up the chest and then lean back a little bit with a straight spine. Open up your arms out to the side. Spread the fingers away from each other. Reach forward. Draw the navel to spine. Make sure your core is really strong. Bring your feet together and then lift them up one at a time until your calves or shins are parallel to the floor. And find your balance on your sits bones. This is boat pose Navasana. This is a starting point with legs bent. It is really difficult still. It's a good core workout. But if you'd like to challenge yourself to come into the next point, you can start to bring your legs into a straighter position, lengthening the toes up. Reaching forward, navel to spine, chest up. Take one more deep breath. And then roll down nice and slow, half boat, really using the core here. Stretch the toes forward, come down halfway. And then all the way down on your next exhale breath, relaxing onto the floor. And take a moment in Savasana, about 30 seconds here. So make yourself comfortable and start to deepen your breath. Relax your arms and legs. Try not to analyze anything that you've done in your practice so far. Just keep your awareness here with your breath. Slow everything down a little bit. Slowly bring your hands onto the mat by your hips. So you're lengthening your arms by your side, palms down. And draw the navel into the spine. So you're kind of flattening or pressing your low to mid back on the mat. Then take a deep breath and bring your knees into your chest, one leg at a time. Tuck your chin to your chest, lengthen the back of the neck, root the upper back and the shoulders and the arms and hands. On your next inhale, draw your legs up toward the ceiling, pointing your toes. Really lengthen as much as you can. And then on the exhale, flex your feet. Draw the belly button in toward your spine. Keep your toes together side by side and flex toward the knees, knees toward the hips. Squeeze the quads. And using the low ab strength and control, start to draw your toes closer to your shoulders. Stay for one more deep breath here if you can. And slowly change. You can bend your knees and feet down. If that ever feels just like way too much, but you still want to practice the pose, you can just bring a block in under the hips or sacrum. And I think we've practiced this before. At this point, lengthening up from here. And it is actually a little bit easier to get the toes back more with that block there for support. I'm going to do a little bit of backward bending here. So bending your knees, bring your heels up towards your hips, toes pointing straight forward, feet about hip width distance apart. And again, arms by your sides on the mat, palms down. Draw the navel to spine and push the feet down, really root firmly. On an inhale, start to lift the hips and bum and lift the thighs. Then slowly walk your shoulders a little bit closer together one by one and interlace or bind the fingers behind your back. Press down the hands and arms, root the feet. Take a deep breath, lift the hips and bum, and then the belly and the chest. If you feel compressed through the front of the body, lift your chin up to ceiling a little bit. Really root down and take one more deep breath here in bridge pose. And then open up your arms and slowly release, exhaling the hips back down to the mat, nice and slow. Take a moment here if you need it. And then draw your knees in toward your chest and grab your legs with your hands, or you can wrap your arms more tightly around your legs, trying to grab the elbows one another, or maybe the forearms if that's a little too much. The back of the head on the mat with chin slightly tucked. Your knees can have a little space between them if you need, or squeeze them together if that feels good. Try to relax your hips. Draw navel to spine and lengthen the entire back body. And shoulder blades down the spine or shoulders away from the ears. Take one more deep breath and then open up the knees. Reach up for the feet, the big toes or the outsides of your feet, and come into happy baby. Flexing your feet, bring your legs out to the side so that the inner thighs are in line with the outsides of your lower abdomen. Hopefully that's not too confusing. We're trying to draw the knees in toward the armpits here, so you are welcome to bring elbows out to the side if that feels better than keeping them inside the legs. Press your feet up, shoulder blades down the spine. Take one more deep breath, and then bring your feet down. Nice and slow, knees together, soles of the feet on the mat. Now open up into Supta Baddha Konasana. Hands on the hips or belly, or alternatively, you can bring your arms by your side. So make sure that your shoulders and your upper back can relax as much as possible here. Relax your knees toward the floor, or if you feel ambitious, you can press the feet and actively draw the knees closer to the mat for a deeper stretch. Maybe bringing the heels even closer to your body. And if you'd like a little bit more relaxing, you're welcome to move your feet away from you. And just relax through the legs, the hips, the feet as much as you can. One more deep breath. The knees together. Lengthen your left leg away from your body and draw your right knee up, coming into twist. So grab the outside of the knee with your left hand and slowly roll into the outside of your left hip, bringing your knee toward the floor or yoga block, maybe, if you'd like the support. And look over your right shoulder, trying to keep your shoulder down for this one. You can turn the palm up or keep it down again if you prefer for the shoulder. We'll stay here for a few deep breaths. Remember to take your time and don't force it. Don't even need to use a lot of energy in this asana. At this point, we're really trying to wind down and just use the warmth and the opening in our bodies that we've already created with the practice up to this point. So breathe deeply and slowly and relax here as much as you can, just enjoying the stretch. One more deep breath. And then come back to center, nice and slow. Square the hips and the shoulders and bring your right leg down and arms by your side. And relax. Take a few deep breaths in between sides so you have time to sort of decompress or reset. Come back to center and breathe deeply. And then left leg up. Grabbing the outside of your knee with your right hand, take a deep breath, and on the exhale, roll into the outside of the right hip. Draw your left arm back in line with your shoulder and look beyond your shoulder toward your fingertips. Palm up or down. The leg on the floor can be bent or straight, depending on what feels best here. And take one more deep breath on this side. And slowly come back to center. And bring both legs down and arms by your side. Now you can bring yourself into your final Savasana for relaxation at the end of a nice strong practice. Allow your arms to shift away from your hips as much as needed. And same thing with the legs, separate the heels, again, as much as you need to relax through the low body. Bring your awareness into your back body now, or anywhere that the body meets the mat or the floor. And just try to relax more deeply, softening there. Allowing your body to sink into your mat and the floor to hold you up. So you don't need to hold yourself in a shape here. All the work is done and you can now completely relax. Give yourself a couple of minutes in Savasana to really relax and take advantage of your practice, utilizing all of the hard work, kind of digesting or storing it. The breath should be natural, but still full, nice and slow, calm and easy. Whenever you feel ready, you can bring yourself slowly back to seated, maybe rolling over onto one side first if you like. And as you come into a seated position, take a moment here as well. Bring your awareness into your entire body, head to toe. So you're spreading energy through every single cell. And take a couple deep breaths. Just try to let go of any tension you can feel yourself still holding on to if it's there. Maybe not. But take a moment. Relax a little more here at the end. And then give yourself some gratitude or compassion. Thank yourself for your practice. I hope you have a really great day. Namaste.